Hello everybody, we're doing something a little different today. We're back in the Goblin Caves normal, but instead of ratting it out in starter gear, which is generally what I do here, given that we're wiping tomorrow Monday, I have brought in decent gear on both the fighter and the cleric in consecutive runs, just giving everybody an opportunity to score some of my hard-earned gear. Starting off on the cleric here, we saw that a barb spawned across the way, so I'm going to be a little defensive early on, expecting the push. Yeah, so I don't know about you guys. I'm excited about the wipe tomorrow. I think the economy's kind of in a strange spot with some of the exploiting and the gold selling, and we'll see how Iron Mace is able to respond to this moving forward. But I've said it before, the cleric is just incredibly strong in Goblin Caves, both with the kit, the sustain. You don't really even need to play that strategically. Very powerful when you bring Judgment in for 1v1s. As you're going to see here, I'm not really pressured despite my bad play. This was my first game of the day, and I was not playing well, but I was really not in any danger in the Goblin Caves. Brought in some very decent gear on the cleric, hoping that somebody might be able to win it off me. If they time their attacks right, they jump me when I have Judgment down, or if they 2v1 me, they've got a shot. But otherwise, pretty strong. I'm making a very calculated gamble here. The likelihood of me extracting is extremely high. The likelihood of me leaving with 150 plus gold and sellables is very high. The barb did not push me. That was probably pretty smart of him. He looks like he kind of fled off to the north side of the map. I'm just going to move towards the circle. Let's see what we can find over here. Yeah, so the wipes on Monday. My understanding is that they are going to leave your characters as they are, but your levels are going to be reset to 1. And of course, all items and all gold, etc. will be reset. Blue shards and red shards will never be reset, according to a statement that Iron Mace released last week. So good stuff. This is obviously coming on the tail end of the caster and rogue nerfs. So I was never really one to run a lot of the offensive spells on the cleric. You'll see here I'm running kind of a buff setup. I've got Bless, of course. I've got Protection, of course. And then I'm running Divine Strikes for 5 additional damage per swing. I have heard somebody moving around here. I'm kind of looking for them while simultaneously looting as I go. I'm so used to playing kind of rat runs here in the Goblin Caves that I just can't help myself with regard to looting everything and breaking every pot. This rogue looked like he was going to push me. That's like a super easy fight for clerics. He's obviously low gear level, but even if he was, if I was low gear level, that's still a fight that I'm going to win. So I flash my Judgment at him. He chickens out and runs away. We're going to see him again in a minute. Spoilers. I heard that barb over here smashing stuff and screaming loudly, but I don't see him. Somebody did die to the worm of the centipede right around the corner, so that could have been him. There's definitely somebody on the other side of this door. I don't see anybody, but lo and behold, it's our rogue buddy. I'm hoping he just goes away, but he's pretty persistent here. He wants to try me, but he's low health. 1 Judgment gets him. I can't help myself. Like, the starting Magic Twig is so bad on Cleric. I think it's bad on everybody. But every time I see a spellbook, I've just got to pick it up. Simply because the number one item I buy from vendors on Rat Cleric is the Gray Spellbook. When I see one available on the Alchemist, I generally buy 3 or 4, bank them, just hope that tides me over until he restocks again. I'm going to tank the storm a little bit here, not a big deal. Once again, the Cleric, one of the advantages of the Cleric is the sustain, right? The only one you've really got to watch out for is you got to watch out for fighters very early in the map. If they still have their second wind, they will win that engagement. But late in the map, they don't really have a chance. So, 1 judgment, 2 bonks, and the warrior goes down. Once again, I'm playing very badly here. I'm taking a lot of PvE hits, which I shouldn't, but it's the first game of the day. So it's pretty important when you're playing solo in the Goblin Caves to track the kill feed in the upper right-hand corner. At this point, you can do the arithmetic and realize that there may be one other player left on the map. So at this point, my focus is to play a little inventory Tetris and then get out. Given where the circle is, it's going to be nice and convenient to end the game up near the Goblin Shaman and the Health Shrine, right next to the guaranteed exit at the hatch. So I'm going to kind of head there directly. I will be sure to showcase how to step on every trap leading up to the Shaman. There's 1. Let's do it again. There's 2. Once again, just playing very sloppy this run. Took a hit from the Goblin Shaman too, pretty low. I'll just kite him around a little bit while I heal. Lots of opportunities. If there were one player still alive, they could come jump me right now and I'd be in a bad way. Iron Mace, you really need to do something with regard to the Goblin Shaman in the Goblin Caves. They're only dropping white instruments now. Basically, like 9 times out of 10, they'll drop a white bard instrument. And, like, who cares? And we hear a portal open nearby, not that it matters because the hatch is open and no one has taken it, so that will probably be our exit. At this point, my inventory is looking pretty full. Just loot this poor bard, see what he's got, and he's going to fill me up nicely. Gotta step on every trap. Nah, just get out of here. I see a lot of people stick around, like, trying to min-max their loot. It comes down to the gambler's proposition, right? Like, how much money were you anticipating making? I don't know. I'm a bird in the hand kind of guy. All right, so for our second run, I'm bringing a warrior in here. Not quite as juiced as the cleric was in the last run, but still, you know, I got a couple green pieces and a green arming sword, but most importantly, I have a pocket ballista. That being the windlass crossbow. I anticipate the next round of nerfs that Iron Mace will be making will be to the crossbows in particular, because right now they're just completely out of control. As always, I run the Weapons Master perk for the Warrior in the Goblin Caves. It's just super useful to be able to use any kind of good weapon that you pick up. This crossbow is not particularly great, but it still does a tremendous amount of damage in a single shot on an engage or a disengage. So there's somebody on the other side of this door. I hear them moving around here, and I wait quite a while, but they never come. Spoilers. But that's okay. So, like I was saying earlier, the warrior needs to be played strategically. You have a tremendous amount of 1v1 potential, but it's all based on your second wind cooldown, whether or not it's available, and how much PvE damage you take during the course of the map. So, much like the ranger in the Goblin Caves, the warrior is best served by being patient, understanding who's around you, and then capitalizing on a good 1v1 later in the match when you with a second wind available. I see a lot of warriors just immediately just kind of Darth Vader at the first person they see, burn their cooldowns and get a kill. But at that point, if a minute has gone by, how much loot are you going to get off that guy you just killed? What's the likelihood that he's got good gear? Pretty low. So saving and preserving those cooldowns for a fight that's going to give you much better value later in the game is absolutely the way to play it. This warrior's gear is really focused on damage reduction, so high armor values plus armor and plus physical damage reduction is key on the armor pieces. And then literally any kind of green weapon will serve you really well. I really like the army sword. I think the army sword is at its best spot ever. I'm not a huge fan of the falchion. I don't like its moveset. It's very restrictive in corridors. It clips a lot against terrain. And while it does do, a significantly more per hit, the army sword's attack rate being higher and the ability to, chain its combo together and land headshots, I think it's just a vastly superior weapon. So I hear some shenanigans around the corner. I know that there was somebody through this door. I'm just going to wait for a second. But, when you're playing strategically as both the ranger and the warrior in the Goblin Caves, you really want to let the targets come to you. And he got his invis pod off, but it doesn't matter. I know where he is. And that's what he was running from, that ranger, who wisely does not want to fight me. All right, we see him take off around the corner. He's got PvE problems. So do I, so I'm very content to deal with this goblin, maybe loot the cleric, definitely reload the ballista. Pause for a second, see if we can hear anybody else. I've spawned here in one of my favorite spawns in the whole caves because the access to those bookshelves right there, there's a tremendous amount of sellable baubles. And it's currently unlooted. I do hear somebody around the corner, but I'm going to take the opportunity to snatch a few trinkets. That was a miss, sadly. He doesn't want to fight. I'm not going to chase a bard. He probably doesn't have anything anyway, at least not compared to what's still on the shelves behind me. At this point, I'm just really strong, right? Not only do I have a mild gear advantage to the average player in here, but I'm still got my second wind. I'm full health. I can literally take any fight at this point with a high degree of confidence. So I'm going to make a lot of noise. I'm going to keep scooping up as much sellable as I can grab. And we hear a portal open pretty nearby. I'm not quite ready to go yet. We are pretty central to the circle, so we can wait for people to come to us. This warlock wants to be friends. I don't think there are a lot of friends to be made in the Goblin Caves. Not a big believer. I miss again. Two hits to the head, and he goes down. I burned my second wind there simply because I did take some damage, and I think the bard may be the only one left in the map, and I'm just not even remotely concerned with that matchup. Gonna go ahead and top off with a healing pot and grabbing that protection shrine. The protection shrine is an amazing buff. You should grab it every time you see it, particularly on warrior, barb, rogue, any of the melees. Gonna whip out the device, prime the machine. It's ready for me to miss my next shot. Still hear that bard prancing around somewhere. Not too concerned. And that portal is very close by. If I was feeling particularly mean, or if I felt like there'd be a real reward to doing so, you might gatekeep this portal and use it to bait in somebody for the last fight, but my bags are full. There's no reason to be vindictive. Thanks for watching. Good luck.